Jim Bob Duggar, the patriarch of the Duggar family and former star of the reality TV series 19 Kids and Counting, has remained a figure of interest for fans even after the show's cancellation and the many controversies that followed. Known for his conservative Christian beliefs and strict household rules, Jim Bob's leadership of his large family has sparked admiration and criticism alike. In recent years, tensions within the family, particularly between Jim Bob and his daughter Jill Duggar, have made headlines. However, recent events suggest a possible softening of that strained relationship, especially as Jill took to social media to honor her father on Father's Day. Jim Bob's current whereabouts and role. Jim Bob Duggar continues to live in Thajillduggar, Arkansas, where he and his wife, Michelle Duggar, raised their 19 children. While he no longer has a presence on national television following the cancellation of 19 Kids and Counting in 2015 and its spin-off Counting On in 2021, Jim Bob remains active within his community and church. He is believed to continue running his real estate business and various other ventures that have provided income for the large family over the years. He has also maintained a degree of influence in local Republican political circles, having previously served in the Arkansas House of Representatives from 1999 to 2002. Jim Bob has occasionally hinted at continuing political aspirations. While he unsuccessfully ran for the Arkansas State Senate in 2021, he remains involved in advocacy for conservative Christian values through local organizations and church-related activities. Despite stepping away from the spotlight, Jim Bob is still regarded as the head of the Duggar family, especially in the eyes of his younger children and many of his adult children who remain loyal to him. His public appearances have been minimal, and his social media presence remains low. Most updates about Jim Bob come indirectly through his children's posts, interviews, or media reports. Estrangement with Jill Duggar. One of the most widely publicized family rifts involved his daughter Jill Duggar and her husband, Derek Dillard. Over the past few years, Jill has openly discussed her decision to distance herself from the Duggar family and the circumstances that led to that separation. In interviews and on her social media platforms, Jill has spoken about setting boundaries for her mental health, disagreements over finances, and her need to make decisions independently of her parents' authority. According to Jill and Derek, much of the tension stemmed from disputes over filming obligations and financial transparency. They claimed that they were not fairly compensated for their participation in the family's television shows, and that Jim Bob maintained tight control over the money and decision-making. The Dillards eventually stepped away from Counting On and chose to pursue a more private life, while also sharing their personal journey through YouTube videos, interviews, and their book, Counting the Cost. In the memoir, Jill detailed how she struggled with the expectations placed on her and the difficulty of navigating her own beliefs and family loyalty. The book gave readers an in-depth look at the family's inner dynamics and added context to her estrangement from Jim Bob. Though the content was painful for many in the family, Jill emphasized that her intention was not to destroy anyone, but to share her truth and help others who might be in similar situations. Signs of reconciliation. While the rift between Jill and Jim Bob seemed irreparable at times, recent developments suggest that some healing may be occurring. On Father's Day, Jill took a surprising step by publicly honoring her father on social media. Though the message was simple and did not go into emotional detail, it was a noteworthy gesture considering the history of estrangement. In her post, Jill shared a photo from her childhood that featured her with Jim Bob, accompanied by a respectful caption wishing him a happy Father's Day. The post did not dwell on past conflicts or elaborate on the current status of their relationship, but fans interpreted it as a possible olive branch or sign of growing maturity and forgiveness. While neither Jim Bob nor Jill has made further public statements regarding the post or their current relationship, the acknowledgement did not go unnoticed by the public or the media. Many longtime fans of the Duggar family expressed hope that the two were on a path toward reconciliation, while others remained cautious, noting that healing from deep familial wounds often takes time and effort from both parties. Family dynamics and public perception. The Duggar family has long presented a unified image, especially during the height of their TV fame. However, as the children have grown into adulthood, several have chosen paths that differ significantly from the values they were raised with. Jill is one of several Duggar children who have opened up about their evolving beliefs, changes in faith practice, or disagreements with how they were raised. Despite these shifts, Jim Bob has continued to be supported by many of his children, especially those who remain active in the family's traditional religious circles. His sons, including Jedediah and Jeremiah Duggar, have publicly supported their father on multiple occasions. Others, such as Jinger Duggar Vulo, have written about their evolving faith, but have generally refrained from publicly criticizing their parents. Jill's Father's Day post stands out because it reflects a nuanced approach to reconciliation, acknowledging the importance of her father without minimizing past challenges. This balancing act is increasingly common among public figures who navigate personal healing while in the public eye. For fans, it's a reminder that even well-known families experience complicated dynamics, hurt, and growth. Jim Bob's influence moving forward. While it's unclear to what extent Jim Bob is still involved in the lives of his more independent children, he continues to play a central role in the family's private and public life. He remains a significant influence within his religious community and among the younger Duggar children, who are still being homeschooled and raised under the values he and Michelle advocate. As the Duggar legacy evolves, Jim Bob's role may become less public, but his impact on his family's identity remains profound. His decisions and leadership style shaped the Duggar family brand and influenced how millions of viewers understood conservative Christian family life. Whether loved, criticized, or both, Jim Bob remains a central figure in the narrative of the Duggars. Conclusion: the question of where is Jim Bob now can be answered in practical and symbolic terms. Geographically, he remains rooted in the same Arkansas community where his family became famous. Personally, he appears to remain committed to the values and lifestyle that defined the Duggar household. Emotionally, he exists at the center of a family that is, in many ways, still working through the aftermath of public scrutiny, internal disagreements, and personal growth. Jill Duggar's Father's Day tribute to her dad doesn't erase the years of estrangement or the pain detailed in her memoir, but it offers a glimmer of connection. Whether this marks the beginning of a fuller reconciliation remains to be seen, but for now, it suggests that bridges are not entirely burned, and that even in a family marked by very public divides, moments of honor and respect can still emerge. As time passes, fans and followers of the Duggar family will likely continue to watch for signs of healing and change. And while Jim Bob Duggar may no longer be in the spotlight, his influence as a father, leader, and symbol of a controversial family legacy continues to shape the ongoing story of the Duggars. The Duggar family, once known primarily for their large family size and their hit reality television show 19 Kids and Counting, has remained in the public eye for more than a decade. Over the years, they've experienced many highs and lows, from weddings and births to legal controversies and family disputes. But one of the most sensitive and heartbreaking topics for any family, regardless of fame, is the loss of a loved one. The question of who passed away in the Duggar family has become a subject of quiet curiosity and speculation for fans and followers. This neutral, direct script aims to shed light on the topic with respect, honesty, and clarity. The Duggar family, led by parents Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar, became household names due to their unusually large family of 19 biological children. Their deeply religious, conservative lifestyle attracted both admiration and criticism. The family's values, including their beliefs about modesty, courtship, and homeschooling, were often highlighted on TLC. As the children grew up, Many married and started their own families. As a result, the Duggar family tree has expanded rapidly, with dozens of grandchildren now part of the extended family. But with a family of such size and prominence, it is inevitable that they would also face moments of sorrow. One of the earliest and most well-known losses in the Duggar family was Michelle Duggar's miscarriage. Before the family's TV fame, Michelle and Jim Bob experienced the pain of losing their second pregnancy due to birth control complications, according to their own accounts. The loss deeply affected them and became a turning point in their lives, leading them to stop using birth control altogether and embrace the idea of having as many children as God would allow. Later, in 2011, Michelle became pregnant again with what would have been their 20th child. Tragically, that pregnancy ended in miscarriage. They named the baby Jubilee Shalom Duggar. The miscarriage occurred during the second trimester, and the family publicly mourned the loss. A memorial service was held, and photos of the tiny baby were released to the public, sparking a wide range of emotional responses. For the Duggars, Jubilee's death was a deeply personal and public loss, one that they chose to memorialize with faith and transparency. While most of the public's focus is on the immediate Duggar family, the extended Duggar and Keller families, the latter being Josh Duggar's in-laws, have also experienced loss over the years. However, many of these losses have remained private or have not been widely discussed in the media. The family is known to honor the memory of deceased grandparents, great-grandparents, and other relatives through social media posts or family tributes. These moments, although less publicized, remind followers that the Duggar family experiences grief like any other. With a family as well known as the Duggars, it is not uncommon for misinformation and rumors to circulate online, particularly during periods of media silence or family drama. There have been multiple instances where fans speculated that a member of the Duggar family had died, only for those claims to be proven false or unsubstantiated. For example, in past years, there were online rumors suggesting that one of the older Duggar siblings had passed away. These were unfounded and not supported by any credible sources. On other occasions, when a Duggar family member has gone quiet on social media, fans have sometimes feared the worst, leading to speculative and often incorrect posts online. The family or TLC has rarely addressed such rumors directly unless they became widespread enough to require public clarification. Though not involving physical death, some followers view the emotional and relational estrangement between family members as a kind of loss. Notably, Jill Dillard and her husband, Derek Dillard, distanced themselves from the Duggar family in recent years. Jill has spoken publicly about her emotional struggles related to this separation and has described the experience as heartbreaking. From the perspective of those who value familial unity, this kind of emotional distance can be deeply painful. While it does not equate to death, estrangement brings a different kind of grief, one rooted in lost connection, altered relationships, and missed moments. The most high-profile and controversial development in recent Duggar history was the arrest and conviction of Josh Duggar on child pornography charges. Although this incident does not involve physical death, the consequences have emotionally devastated many within the family. For some, especially Josh's wife Anna and their 7 children, the situation has caused emotional trauma that many would consider a kind of familial death. The loss of trust, safety, and normalcy. The broader Duggar family has remained largely silent on the emotional toll, but insiders and former cast members have hinted at the immense psychological weight carried by family members during and after the legal process. In terms of emotional loss, this chapter stands as one of the most difficult periods the family has faced. One interesting phenomenon among Duggar fans is the way they participate in the family's grieving process. When Michelle shared the loss of Jubilee, thousands of fans sent condolences, shared their own stories of miscarriage, and expressed empathy. Social media became a platform for communal mourning. This level of emotional investment from the public is not typical for most families, but in the Duggars' case, their very public lives made fans feel connected to their joy and their pain. The passing of any child, whether in utero or post-birth, is a deeply personal experience. The way the Duggars chose to share Jubilee's story allowed fans to witness a vulnerable and human side of a family that had often been presented as almost idealistically perfect. As of now, both Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar are alive and active in their church and family life. However, with the couple entering their late 50s and early 60s, fans have begun to speculate about their long-term health and future. Though there has been no public information suggesting serious health issues for either, such concern is natural in any fanbase that has followed a public family for many years. The death of either parent would undoubtedly be a monumental moment for the family and the public narrative surrounding them. It would likely bring all members, estranged or not, into a shared moment of mourning. It remains to be seen how such a future event might unfold. The Duggars have built a legacy based on faith, family, and fertility. Their worldview places great emphasis on the idea of eternal life, spiritual salvation, and the sovereignty of God. These beliefs have informed the way they approach birth, death, illness, and tragedy. When family members have passed away, whether unborn or extended relatives, the Duggars have often turned to scripture, hymns, and prayer as a way of coping. Their public responses to loss reflect their desire to uphold these values even in times of sorrow. They have also used moments of loss to advocate for their views on life, abortion, and the sanctity of the unborn. Jubilee's death, for example, was framed by the family as a testimony to the reality and value of life in the womb. To date, the most notable losses in the Duggar family have been the miscarriage of Michelle Duggar's second pregnancy early in their marriage, which deeply influenced their decision to have a large family. The miscarriage of Jubilee Shellam Duggar in 2011, which was publicly mourned and commemorated. Deaths among extended relatives, which have remained largely private or mentioned only briefly on social media. While there have been no known deaths among the adult Duggar children or their spouses, the emotional toll of miscarriages, estrangements, and legal troubles has left its mark on the family. Rumors of deaths have circulated online but remain unverified or false in nature. Ultimately, the Duggars are a family like any other in that they are not immune to the pain of loss. Their unique public platform, however, means that their grief often plays out in the public eye. Whether through shared memories, online tributes, or emotional interviews, the Duggar family continues to navigate life's most difficult experiences with the eyes of the world watching. Jill Duggar Dillard, one of the most publicly independent members of the Duggar family, has made headlines once again, this time for a heartfelt yet unexpected Father's Day tribute to her father, Jim Bob Duggar. The message comes after years of estrangement and complex family dynamics that have played out, to varying degrees, in the public eye. In a quiet but impactful social media post, Jill took a reflective tone, acknowledging her father for his presence during her upbringing. She kept her words measured, respectful, and rooted in gratitude without erasing the personal boundaries she has worked hard to establish in recent years. Jill's post included a childhood photo featuring herself with her father, accompanied by a short caption thanking Jim Bob for being part of the memories that shaped me. She added a note of appreciation for the things you taught us growing up, including values like hard work, faith, and family commitment. The message, while brief, was enough to spark a wave of discussion among followers, fans, and critics alike. Given the family's very public schism, Jill's decision to post on Father's Day in Jim Bob's honor has prompted both support and speculation. The Duggar family rose to national fame with their reality show 19 Kids and Counting, which aired from 2008 until 2015. At the time, the show portrayed the Duggars as a tightly knit, devoutly Christian family, with Jim Bob and Michelle Duggar at the helm. Jill was a key figure in the show, known for her gentle demeanor and strong sense of responsibility, often helping raise her younger siblings. However, in the years since the show ended, multiple revelations and controversies surrounding the family and its members have surfaced, including the criminal actions of Jill's eldest brother, Josh Duggar. The fallout from those revelations deeply affected the family dynamic, especially Jill's relationship with her parents. Jill and her husband, Derek Dillard, have been increasingly candid about the difficulties they faced within the Duggar household. They stepped away from family projects, including the spin-off Counting On, citing a need for personal autonomy and control over their own lives and children. The rift became more publicly visible when Jill and Derek participated in a tell-all documentary series, Shiny Happy People, Duggar Family Secrets, released in 2023. In it, they discussed the emotional and psychological toll of growing up under strict religious doctrines, and within the framework of the Institute in Basic Life Principles, an organization to which Jim Bob was closely aligned. Jill detailed the impact of not being able to make independent decisions, from how to dress to whether or not she and Derek could visit other family members. Financial disagreements and issues surrounding consent to be filmed also played major roles in the estrangement. The couple stated that they had to fight to gain access to their own financial records, and that they were not compensated fairly for their appearances on the family's television programs. Despite these challenges, Jill has maintained that her intention has never been to vilify her family, but to tell her own truth. Her memoir, Counting the Cost, co-written with Derek and released in 2023, detailed their personal journey away from the Duggar fold and the process of healing from what they described as spiritual and emotional trauma. In interviews, Jill has expressed that her healing process includes setting boundaries, pursuing counseling, and finding her own faith journey apart from the rigid structure in which she was raised. Her decision to post a Father's Day tribute reflects what some see as a sign of personal growth, a willingness to acknowledge the good while not denying the hurt. Supporters online were quick to note the maturity and emotional balance evident in Jill's message. Comments praised her for being gracious without compromising her own narrative. "This is how you honor your truth, while still showing respect," one user wrote. Another added, "Healing looks different for everyone. Jill is doing it on her own terms." Others, however, questioned whether the post might be a step toward reconciliation or simply a symbolic gesture. Given that Jill and Jim Bob have remained mostly private about any potential progress in their relationship, it's unclear whether this message represents a change in their dynamic. According to sources close to the family, some efforts at reconnection have occurred behind the scenes, but trust and mutual understanding continue to be areas of tension. Jill has previously said she hopes for healing within the family, but won't compromise her well-being or that of her children to maintain appearances. Jim Bob Duggar, for his part, has not responded publicly to Jill's Father's Day message. Known for maintaining a reserved and traditional public presence, he has rarely commented on the deeper divisions within his family, though he has continued to appear at family gatherings and in photos posted by other Duggar children who remain closely aligned with the parents. The complexities of the Duggar family relationships are emblematic of a broader narrative, one where children raised in tightly controlled environments begin to find their own voices as adults. Jill's journey has resonated with many who have sought to reclaim autonomy and truth after years of spiritual or familial pressure. Father's Day, for many, is a deeply emotional holiday that can bring up complicated feelings, especially when parent-child relationships are strained. Jill's decision to participate in the day, in any way at all, is being seen by some as a sign of forgiveness, or at least a step in the direction of peace. Still, Jill's own words indicate that she has not forgotten the pain, nor is she pretending that it never happened. Instead, her message appears to be an intentional choice to focus on what was positive, even if imperfect. This nuanced approach speaks volumes about the kind of healing Jill appears to be pursuing. Rather than cutting ties completely or blindly reconciling, she is navigating a middle path, one that allows her to acknowledge her past while preserving the boundaries she has worked hard to establish. It's a journey familiar to many adult children from conservative or high-control backgrounds. Public figures like Jill Duggar help to shine a light on what those paths might look like, full of hard choices, quiet courage, and personal reflection. As Jill continues to share her life with her own family, including Derek and their 3 sons, she often speaks about the values she wants to instill in her children: honesty, freedom, emotional safety, and unconditional love. These are themes that appear repeatedly in her social media posts, interviews, and writing. Her Father's Day post might not signal a full reconciliation, but it does show a willingness to acknowledge complexity. In a world that often pressures people to pick sides or simplify difficult stories, Jill Duggar is choosing to live and share a more honest narrative. The story of Jill and Jim Bob Duggar is not over. It may never return to what it once was, but perhaps that's not the goal. Instead, the hope may be for mutual respect, understanding, and the ability to exist peacefully even in difference. Jill's choice to honor her father on this particular day may seem small, but in the broader context of her family's history, it's a notable one. It reminds followers, readers, and viewers that healing isn't always linear, forgiveness doesn't always mean reunion, and love can sometimes coexist with boundaries. For now, Jill remains focused on her own family, her personal growth, and the work of continuing to define her life on her own terms. And on this Father's Day, she chose to say something: not everything, not nothing, but something, and that, in itself, speaks volumes.